All right, welcome to Connecting Right Radio. We were gone last week as I was still getting back from CPAC and had some flight logistical issues, I should say.
How'd that go, Dave?
I eventually made it home.
Nice.
But CPAC was awesome. Got to meet a lot of really cool people out there, see a lot of cool things. It's not very often that you get to see Trump speak live, especially living in California. So he did story time. He was talking about illegal immigration, and before in the past he has done the story of the snake. And so he decided to do that again during CPAC, during his speech there. And the story of the snake, just to give you the short form of it, of a woman goes out, she finds the snake outside, and it's freezing, it's almost dead, and she decides to bring it inside. She knows it's this vicious snake that's venomous and would bite her, but she brings it in, and she warms it up, and she takes care of it, and nurses it back to health, and as soon as it's healthy, it bites her and kills her. And
Wait a minute. That happens in iguanas in Florida.
Right. So it was real. It was real interesting getting to see him speak. He did all his normal bullet points that he does: the wall, illegal immigration. The only thing that he did get kind of silenced and a little bit booed on was when he talked about gun control. Because this was obviously in the wake of the Parkland shooting,
right?
And but other than that, he spoke well. He was very proud of himself. At one point, so he's in the middle, and there's these two big screens on the side, and he looks up at one of the screens and goes, "That's a good speaker right there," pointing to himself. I was just like, "Oh, good Lord!" But it was a lot of fun. Anyways, in today's show, we have special guest Cardin Ellis with us, who's a longtime Santa Clarita resident. And
welcome.
Yes. And
good to be here.
And then we are going to, after we kind of introduce him, go into our first break. We're going to come back. There's been a lot that's been happening in the wake of the Parkland shooting. So we're going to discuss all the different little things that have been happening, and just tell you our thoughts on them, and tell you the facts, tell you our thoughts, and let you decide what you want to think about it. So let's jump right into it. Tom, good to have you back.
Oh, thanks.
Like always. Cardin, thank you very much for coming on the show.
I'm excited to be here.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself, Cardin.
A little bit about myself. Yes. Okay, if I had to choose a little bit, I would say I'm completely 100% Santa Clarita. Mm-hmm. I went to Santa Clarita Elementary School.
Yeah.
Back when it wasn't too politically correct to call them the Santa Clarita Indians.
Yes.
Now it's the Bulldogs.
Right. But heart is still the Indians.
I know. Alive with pride. I went to Hart High. I guess I share that in common with you. Mm-hmm. We both played volleyball. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
And so I'm 100% Santa Clarita. I grew up here. I live here. I married a Santa Clarita girl. Actually, no, she's a Stevenson Rancher.
Oh,
Stanch.
She's an LA County girl.
Well, I married an Agua Dulce girl, so
okay,
I get it.
So we will have to baptize her into the tribe.
Yes.
Okay. We'll hold a city council election on that. So I went to BYU in Provo, Utah. Came back, started my own company here. Me and my father run a pest control company.
Yes.
So extermination runs in my blood, and I produce movies.
Yes.
Also, the family business, I know it's kind of wild. The family business is pest control.
Yes.
But I went to film school, and I started my film career, and that seems to be taking off pretty well. I'm very excited.
And you have a movie that's out right now, or coming out, or what's the deal with this? With what's going on?
Okay. It is out in the film festivals, and it's winning tons of awards. It's had its West Coast and its East Coast theatrical release. We just had a theatrical release actually at the Egyptian Theater. Mm-hmm. Wow. It's called King Cohen, and it's about the life of this revolutionary and kind of guerrilla and renegade filmmaker, director named Larry Cohen in the 60s. He's kind of credited as being the Martin Luther King of filmmaking. He's the guy that started doing a lot of the black exploitation cinema films.
Like Dolomite and so forth?
No, not those. He didn't do like Shaft or any of those that oftentimes we think of first. He did Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem, a lot of those Fred Williamson flicks that were the ones that really took off, to be honest with you. They're the ones that really made it happen. Yaphet Kotto, who was considered the first black man in space.
Yes.
He's the guy that played the African-American actor in Alien. He got his start in a movie called Bone with Larry Cohen. He inspired Martin Scorsese. Tara Reid got her first gig with him. Rick Baker, I think don't quote me on this, but he's one of like the highest Oscar winners of all time.
Got one of his special effects.
Yeah, he's a big special effects guy. He got some of his first gigs doing the baby for the It's Alive series. If you remember that killer baby, that was Larry Cohen. Do you remember the movie Q, The Winged Serpent? It was that flying, like, massive iguana dragon that took over the Chrysler building. That was Larry Cohen as well. So anyway, we did a documentary on this crazy guy who would make, I'm not kidding you, $50 movies, okay? And they would become these sensations overnight.
Right.
And he inspired an entire generation of filmmakers. And the documentary is way cool. It's way inspirational. It makes you think you can grab $5 from your mom, go out and get a video camera, and make a blockbuster. And it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes right
100%.
now. Wow.
Awesome.
Holy cow.
100%.
Black Panther doesn't even have that.
Yeah, we're ours was much lower budget than that. We're slowly signing the deals. So pretty soon, streaming somewhere you'll be able to find it. I don't know if Netflix or if one of the other services is going to pick it up, but I know that sometime in the next couple of weeks we put pen to paper and it starts getting that big, wide open distribution.
Yes, awesome.
Nice.
I saw you just look that up on your laptop over there. That was the movie poster. And I'm very proud of that movie poster because that's the first time that my name's been on the movie poster itself and not just dead somewhere in the credits.
And you're a producer? Is that what it is? You're
I'm the executive producer.
Executive producer, okay.
I'm the one that begs people for their money
Yes.
and then begs the creative people not to spend too much of it.
Right, yes.
That's
gotcha.
all I do.
And also you're LDS. You're Mormon.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
Anyone that knows Santa
A
Clarita
bunch
knows,
of Mormons are cringing right now. They're just like, oh, man.
Well, everyone that's been in Santa Clarita for more than 5 minutes knows that we have a large population of Mormons in the area. I think there's four different churches at least. There's the Canyon Country. There's the two New Halls and a Valencia one. Yeah, I believe.
All with bomb shelters. Right. No. There's about like 6 or 7 actually. Yeah.
I mean, when I was on the Hart volleyball team, half of it was Mormon. Like when you grew up, at least a third of your friends were Mormon. If you grew up in Santa Clarita, it's just sort of kind of the way that it is out here.
Volleyball and piano lessons, dude. You can't
go wrong.
You can't be Mormon unless you're taking volleyball and piano lessons.
Right. And so just to segue real quick from your Hollywood happenings that are going to the Hollywood happenings that are going on tonight, we have the Oscars happening. And I'm not watching them because obviously I'm sitting here doing a radio show. So, and everyone else that's watching us is not watching the Oscars either because they tend to not want to hear the virtue signaling that's probably going to be going on, even though I know the producers came out and said they don't want it to be political. They want it to be about the movies and about the fanfare. But let's face it, these guys have a very hard time not telling you what to think when it comes to their views.
Right.
And Sabo was out at it again. Anybody that knows Sabo is the street artist that likes to go around and kind of make fun of the leftist Hollywood. So 3 billboards popped up in front of the venue where the Oscars is being held. I can't think. One of them says, name names on stage or shut the HE double hockey stick up.
Ooh. Yeah. This is brazen.
Yes. Another. I can't think of what another one was, but then the very last one said the award for the biggest pedophile goes to ... So they went hard against them on this one in wake of everything that's happened. So it's gonna be real interesting tomorrow to wake up and see what was written about, what was talked about, and what was done.
So what's he trying to accomplish with all of these?
He's done this before. Like he did like a She Knew with pictures of Meryl Streep after the whole Harvey Weinstein thing came out. He's just a renegade street artist. Been picked up by the police officers quite a few times. I was about to say,
emphasis on the renegade.
Yes.
Whoa.
And so he's just
I don't know if that is guts and brave or if it's foolhardy. I'm still trying to figure that out.
Oh, the third one was we all knew and still no arrests. What? So basically saying that all the people in Hollywood that knew Harvey Weinstein knew that he was out there being sexually abusive towards women, and there's still no arrests. And so, I
actually got a friend with a pretty solid theory on that a lot of the weed cleaning that's happening in Hollywood is due to Trump. And I know that's a very strange connection to make, but a lot of these Hollywood producers, including Harvey Weinstein, it was very well known that they were huge donors.
Oh, yeah.
And donors get protections, and you can't touch them if you're donating a ton of money to Barack or to whatever person. But now that Trump is in office, Democrats have a huge opportunity to clean house.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I really think that I'm not a conspiracy theory person at all. I will believe in human incompetency long before I believe in its ability to conspire successfully.
Right.
Okay. But I definitely think that right now there is a lot of cleansing going on because it can go on because Trump is the president.
Yes. Yes. So it's going to be, like I said, I think that has a lot to do with what's going on also. And then also,
I'm not expecting a speech though.
it's a lot here, right?
They won't thank him in the Oscars.
No.
Of course not.
But what they're also trying to do is they push so hard saying that Trump had his sexual, misgivings and stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
He's been accused of things, this and that. And so they're trying to say, hey, if we're cleaning out our house here, you guys need to clean out your house over there also, but there's things that are going on that you have to show actual, like that he's done something, that there's proof that, just like there's Harvey Weinstein has been proven to be this person. Kevin Spacey came out and said, like in his ridiculous statement, when he said, I don't remember doing this. If I did, I'm sorry. Which basically admitting that he did do it. Oh, and by the way, I'm gay, because that makes it all of a sudden better. So that was, Kevin Spacey just did not handle his situation well. Plus, there's been plenty of others. Corey Feldman started naming names also, as far as people having pedophile tendencies towards younger actors, and which is a very sick thing to hear about. But hopefully they keep cleaning up hopefully they keep cleaning up and draining their own swamp, and we can get some more stand-up people into Hollywood and get some attention back onto the movies, as opposed to how sick these people are, or some of them are.
Yeah, it's sad because we grew up with Santa Clarita.
Yeah.
I swear 40% of the movie industry. I read somewhere that in 2013, it was the first time that over 51% of the television permits pulled in LA County, television, not film, but television permits were pulled here.
Yeah.
In Santa Clarita.
Yes.
And I grew up with nothing but set painters and gaffers and best
Little House on the
boys
Prairie, Dukes of Hazzard.
all that. The film industry is us, so we want it to be a thriving, robust, and beautiful industry.
Yes, and it's no secret that I worked in the entertainment industry for about 8.5 years, almost 9 years.
I saw your stuff on Cinemax after 10. It was great.
Oh, yes. Skinemax. I did. I did reality television. It's kind of the same thing as doing soft porn. Anyways.
This one-liner turned into like a four-liner. Right? Just like, here's the line. And like I was thinking, I'm going to edge right up next to it with this tongue-in-cheek thing that maybe the adults listening might understand. And then you two are just like, dive right in.
Well, we like to speak our mind, but we like to be funny, and sometimes we have some people say we have a little too much fun, but then again, we're not here to be politically correct.
Great way to follow up Barry McKeever and his spiritual music, right? Just great.
Well, political correctness, I believe, is a form of fascism.
True, very true.
So we
Here.
try not to participate in it too much. Anyways, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's been a lot of different things that have happened in wake of the Parkland shootings. A new assault weapon ban legislation has been introduced. They're trying to raise the age of guns. There have been people. There have been great friends of ours and others that have been banned from YouTube and Twitter just for talking about some of the stuff that's been going on. So we're going to get into that a little bit, and so when we get back, we're going to have some more fun.
The Santa Clarita Valley Food Pantry is celebrating its 30th anniversary of providing supplemental food to our neighbors in need. Help us help those less fortunate right here in the SCV with a monetary or food donation. For information on conducting a food drive or becoming a volunteer, visit scvfoodpantry.org or call the SCV Food Pantry at 255-9078. Because no child in the Santa Clarita Valley should go to bed hungry.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weider Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit weiderprime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
Do you like to rock across Africa?
Then the wait is over.
Africa Rocks! Africa's Greatest Hits is now available at the San Diego Zoo! And who could forget 99 red baboons?
Or the African crested porcupine smash hit, I Got Quills to Pay the Bills! Hey, don't get too close!
And the hits keep on coming!
Africa Rocks has all your favorites from 6 different African habitats.
Hungry like a leopard!
Ibex is back!
Harder, better, fossa stronger!
And a new track from Kendrick Lamar!
Now, Larry.
Yes, Chuck?
A collection of this magnitude, I'd fly to Africa!
Well, don't pack your bags, friend. Africa Rocks is only available right here at the San Diego Zoo.
Wow, that really does rock.
No, it Africa Rocks.
Welcome to Africa Rocks. Experience 6 different African habitats, including our first ever aquatic enclosure with African penguins. Only at the San Diego Zoo.
All right, welcome back to the Connecting Right radio show. When we last left you, we just introduced Carden Ellis, our special guest for the week.
Howdy.
And we're going to jump into some low controversial talk now. So as we all know, there was the very unfortunate shooting that happened in, what was it, Stoner, Brower, I forget the name of the school, something, but it was in Parkland, Florida.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 17 people have passed away due to their
Horrible.
injuries, and then of course it immediately got politicized and was brought up gun control and this and that, and even 30 minutes after the shooting, after they had broke the story that this was happening, already Brian Cafario's camp was trying to put up pictures of Katie Hill's husband's guns,
Really?
and trying to use that against her, because that's what a stand-up
Wow.
candidate he is, and the people that he surrounds himself with. But anyways, so when this all happened, there was 2 or 3 kids that were just plastered all over the media.
Yeah.
There was this Emma Gonzalez, I believe, was the female. David Hogg was the male. And people went on these crazy super tinfoil cowboy hat rants about crisis actors and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty despicable. These kids had just gone through this.
Sure.
But the media kind of just pushed them and pushed them and pushed them and pushed them. We're going to have and had them talking all over the place, and which these kids need time to process what's going on. They need time to to talk to somebody. I didn't feel that it was necessarily right to thrust them in front of the cameras already, and there's a lot of other people that believe that also. We have some friends that do a show out of Florida called Revenge of the Cis. They are one of many others that just talked about it. They weren't being mean to the kids. They weren't saying anything bad. They weren't saying they were crisis actors. They weren't going off the deep end. And these kids were so protected that a lot of these people lost their YouTube channels and got banned off of Twitter, got demonetized, got videos demonetized, basically got censored just for mentioning it.
What was the criteria that they utilized? They said they violated the terms of service?
Yeah. Because their terms of service are very specific, which they're not. That was a joke.
Right.
And so they can loosely go around and say, another guy, LA Werewolf, I know InfoWars got taken down shortly after that also. So there's quite a few. Baked Alaska, another guy that has been kind of popular. He got removed also. So it's been kind of like a war on.
So just arbitrarily, because they mentioned this person's name.
Yeah.
did they do it in a negative way, or were they
No,
just reporting the news?
no. I listened to the exact show on Revenge of the Sith. I listened to the exact show that they got their 3-month ban from. And like I said, they were mentioning saying, hey, there's crazy people out there that are calling these people crisis actors, but they're not crisis actors.
What's a crisis actor?
So they take somebody and there's a let's say like a
Poster boy for a bad event.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, or somebody that wasn't necessarily there, but is a paid actor to go pretend like they're there and make it look, and try to go out there crying and
Who would sponsor such a thing? That sounds horrible.
I don't know that, but that's the conspiracy theory. That's those super tinfoil hats that people put on to think that they actually pay people to go and be victims of these very unfortunate events.
They're generally in cities with no stoplights.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
But but these, like, some of these guys that have been demonetized and have been removed, like they make money off of these, and this is like their livelihood.
Right.
So now that these arbitrary rules are being implemented, these guys are losing out on their livelihood because somebody doesn't agree with what they're saying.
Yeah, and anybody who's been on YouTube, certainly I have that have videos that have been monetized, know about the process and how it's kind of scrutinized in terms of you have to show this is your own original work and so forth. But you find out by going through that process that there may be people who are not necessarily qualified to do that. They may be, in fact, in a different country or in a different place. They may be just some kind of intern.
Right.
So it's kind of arbitrary, it seems.
Yeah, even Joe Messina has been completely demonetized from YouTube also just because they don't agree with the speech. There's a lot of people that say that his speech is even people. Well, he has his enemies out here in Santa Clarita, and there's people that don't necessarily like. So they're like, oh well, he's hate speech and this and that. And it's not. It's free speech is what it should be.
Yeah.
And but you know what? These are private companies. And when it comes to private companies, they can do whatever they want. So they can, if they don't like what you're saying, or if you get enough people that are trying to flag your account, then they'll just go ahead and remove it.
Except in 20 or 30 years when they own all the media.
Well,
there is a little bit of a hypocrisy here that kind of bothers me because, yes, they are private companies, but that's not what we're saying to the bakers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
not
what we're saying to all of the people that, maybe don't feel comfortable. I'm not going to rehash a 2014 to 2016 story and just blow up the phones here about the bakers. But at the end of the day, that baker was a guy who wouldn't even make Halloween cakes because he thought it was the celebration of like demons and angels of the devil and stuff. I mean, this guy was not a real life church evangelical. He was like his own brand, But let him practice that own brand. And if that brand doesn't believe even in Halloween cakes, okay, fine. So if we're forcing him to give homosexual wedding cakes a chance, how come there doesn't have to be a criteria for Google as a private company to give the Prager University or the Revenge of the Sith people a chance or some kind of additional, or Revenge of the Sith. Sorry. What did I say?
Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, jeez, man. I totally fell into it. Sorry, George Lucas. Anyway,
apologies to Mike and Royce.
that kind of hypocrisy just bothers me because I remember as a young child, actually at Santa Clarita Elementary School, when we first talked about Martin Luther King, the three criteria that they brought up of what is racism. I remember defining prejudice for the first time and hearing what the grievances of the black community and the African American community were. And I remember the word double standard for the first time being explained to me. And ever since my 4th or 5th grade at Santa Clarita Elementary, I've been very sensitive to those double standards, and they've bothered me. And to me, my only problem with this restriction actually isn't that they got restricted, because I've looked into this a lot, and a lot of conservatives unfortunately are saying, oh, this is an example of, the Christians being persecuted by the Romans and so on and so forth. When in reality, okay.
And they suddenly turn British.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that was a horrible British accent. But anyway, 12% of Prager University's videos right now are getting restricted. But you're looking at 14% for Vice. You're looking at 28% for BuzzFeed, which are more liberal outlets. In the case of BuzzFeed, I think the Young Turks is the only people that are possibly more liberal than BuzzFeed. So I that kind of gives me a little bit hope that it's not a bipartisan affair. What bothers me is that there's a size that you get when you start almost becoming a public commodity.
Yeah.
Right.
And Google, I think, is there.
Oh.
So there has to be some kind of fairness doctrine, for lack of a better word, applied to these restriction modes.
Yeah, and there's people out there that are now trying to, which I don't necessarily agree with, but that they're trying to say that we need to have the government step in and basically say, hey, we need to make this into a utility that can't be restricted. I'm not a huge fan of government having their finger on everything. So I'd rather stay within the.
Well, we had this problem before in the 30s. The MPAA was formed because the government was threatening to begin censoring Hollywood. I'm sorry, I'm totally bringing my Hollywood experience. But it's like literally Hollywood came out and said, we will censor ourselves. We will create this body of 8 people that have to be parents. All 8 have to be parents. Okay. Actually, I can't remember if the rules have changed or not, but that's basically what it was these have to be people of a viable mind that are going to understand what the public will consider appropriate or not appropriate.
Right.
And we will give our own PG-13, PGX, or R rating to a movie.
Right.
And that's what kept the government from stepping in and censoring. So I think if we're really going to start doing this restriction mode, there's got to be an MPAA of the internet.
Comic books did the same thing.
Yeah.
With the Comics Code.
Yeah, that video games.
Yeah, video games.
ESRB,
right?
same thing.
Exactly.
You're not a millennial unless you play video games.
Right. Well, that whole millennial thing, I don't know what's going on, because before they kept saying that it was like 82, now all of a sudden it's 80. Like, they can't decide if I'm a millennial or not. They can't figure it out whether I'm in this little microcosm of a generation or if I'm a millennial. But anyways,
BuzzFeed will probably have the answer for that in a listicle next week.
Yeah, if you're a loser that's in your 6th year of community college, living in your mother's basement, working part-time at Starbucks, you can just call yourself a millennial. You know what I'm saying? If you're not and you're doing really well, you can just say, I'm at the tail end of Generation Y.
There we
I'm
go.
at the tail end of Generation Y.
But we're going to go back to the stores real quick, as far as the governing or what the are not allowed to do. And like I said, I don't want that baker should have been able to say, I don't want to bake cake for this. You can say who doesn't. And you know what? People are going to talk about it. We are in the day of the internet where it's going to go all over the place, and people are going to choose not to support that store, and that store is going to lose money for doing something dumb like that. And now a bunch of stores have come out and said that they are no longer going to sell assault weapons. Or assault rifles. So they still have certain like Dick's Sporting Goods still has certain version, has an AR-7 still up available, which is a semi-automatic 22. So that's still up there, but the AR-15, which they stopped selling in 2015, I believe, they're continuing not to sell. So it's like everyone's making this big deal over Dick's, and it's like, no, if you disagree with it, or like if you only went there to buy guns and ammo, then go somewhere else. You know, like I don't want to sit here and listen to you complain about Dick's Sporting Goods on Facebook. Like that's stupid. It's lame, and it doesn't. You're doing your own version of virtual signaling.
Right.
Just don't support it. And the group that's loving all this, that Walmart's doing all this, and Dick's and Sporting and everything, is the mom and pop gun shops.
Yeah.
They're the ones that were getting hurt the most when they all started when everyone was selling guns and ammo. But now all of it's going to go back to them. It's going to go back to the small stores again, and hopefully they can start doing well again. So I just think, you know, when it comes to businesses, I've always believed in we have the right to refuse service to anyone, and if you don't, and if they refuse service to you, then go talk stuff about them on the internet, and people are going to figure out it's going to go around. You know, go find one of your community groups or something, and people are not going to patronize that store. It's going to be, and that person's going to start losing money, and they're going to realize that their closed-mindedness, whatever, is going to be hurting them. So just don't, like, I just hate when people are like, they want to no, I want it from this. I want this from this store, and they better give it to me. It doesn't matter. That's like, just go somewhere else. Someone's gonna sell you what you want. You know, it's not like you're this lambasted, hated person.
Yeah.
That no one's gonna, you know, someone's gonna want your money. So just go find the store that wants your money and buy your items there. So, but anyways, we are going. Do we have time? Do we have time to take a break right now, or do I need to ramble on for a little bit more? Because the next one is going to be a little bit longer, and so I don't want to cut it in half. All right, so we are Cody's allowing me to take my second break right now. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and thanks for listening.
Santa Clarita Philharmonic has begun its season of free concerts. The SCP is a non-profit community-based volunteer symphony orchestra comprised of local musicians from throughout the Santa Clarita Valley who are dedicated to providing quality classical music for the residents of the Santa Clarita Valley. Like the Santa Clarita Philharmonic on Facebook, or visit santaclaritaphilharmonic.org for more information.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
It's not too late to start your finish at College of the Canyons. They have short-term classes starting in the next few weeks for all kinds of people. People who need weekend classes, people who like photography, people who like rock and roll, stargazers, cartoon lovers, wine enthusiasts, and more. Need flexibility? Check out the online classes they offer. There's never been a better time to start your finish. Visit canyons.edu/class schedule.
Santa Clarita Valley residents now have greater access to the excellent physicians and high-quality medical services for which Providence Holy Cross is known. Providence Holy Cross Health Center in Santa Clarita features state-of-the-art cancer and imaging technologies, as well as board-certified physicians in a variety of medical specialties. Quality and compassion from a healthcare provider you can depend on. For more information, call 1-888-HEALING or visit us at providence.org.
All right, welcome back to the Connecting Right Radio Show.
Welcome back.
And again, Dave Goss, Tom Dane.
That's right.
I always want to say Den. It looks like Den, so I want to say Den.
It does look like Den.
But it's Dane.
Yeah.
And our special guest, Carden Ellis. Thank you again for being with us tonight, Carden. And we are continuing to talk about the wake, all the stuff that's happening in the wake of the Parkland shootings. Today, or maybe it was Friday. I forget. But within the last couple of days, new legislation was introduced to the House.
2 of them, I think.
I do not think it has any chance of passing.
No.
But it is an assault weapon ban. And so in the past, we had the assault rifle ban.
Right.
From 94 to 2004, we had the assault rifle ban.
That lapsed.
And yes, that's when everyone was able to buy their AR-15s and a bunch of other different types of guns, semi-automatic guns again. And
not Uzis, though.
Yes. And now the new one, they did it very stupidly, I think. Because involved in this is not just the quote unquote assault rifles,
What is that?
I don't know. Assault is a verb. I mean, it's not even an adjective. It's not a describing word. I don't know where people,
They would say the AR-15. It's Armalite rifle.
Yes.
It does not stand for assault rifle
or automatic rifle.
Or
yes.
automatic rifle.
But this new bill would ban not only semi-automatic rifles, but it would also ban semi-automatic handguns.
Now, what would you consider the difference between automatic, fully automatic, semi-automatic, and not?
Well, apparently the ones that they want,
the ones that are fully automatic,
right.
semi-automatic.
Well, apparently, if let's theoretically say that this, or hypothetically let's say that this stupid piece of legislation passes and goes through.
Yeah.
What would happen was the only type of gun that you could own a bolt action and lever action rifle.
Right.
You could own a pump action shotgun.
Okay.
And you could own a revolver.
You mean like cowboy style?
Yeah. As in, we're talking, you are slamming the hammer back like in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Gotcha.
Yes. So it's not going to happen. It's not going to pass. It's the fact that they put in semi-automatic handguns in there that immediately killed it right there.
So semi-automatic, I guess, means as many times as you can pull the trigger.
No, just think of it this way. Fully automatic means if you're holding down the trigger, it just keeps firing and it does it very fast. Think that handgun in the Matrix.
Bullet
Semi-automatic means as soon as you press the trigger, it automatically reloads the next cartridge.
Yes.
So all you're doing is pressing the trigger.
I see.
That's pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, when you have the manual, like the lever actions or the bolt actions or the revolvers, with a revolver, every single time you want to shoot, you got to pull that hammer back like they did in those old Clint Eastwood movies.
So there's a few seconds maybe.
Yeah, so they're trying to literally make it so you got to be that guy that's brushing the hammer.
Well, what's next? We got
there.
to tip the powder and tamp down put the musket ball in there.
Well, it's not going to pass. I mean, it's just there's too many semi-automatic handguns out there. It would be useless. It would be completely useless for this piece of legislation to pass. I could possibly see people going and getting so off the rails that they could do another assault rifle ban, but that really did nothing when they were banned the first time. There's not a huge difference.
So this would cover like your grandfather's 45 that he gave you.
Right
after the
war. Yeah, like my 9mm, I would still, even though the ban would go into effect and people couldn't buy semi-automatic handguns, I still get to have mine.
Wow.
But also, I'm smart enough that I can keep my gun safe and secure, and it's not going to go out and kill anybody. Unlike other people who are out there chopping their AR-15s in half, which to me that says you feel that you're not a responsible gun owner. I'm still a responsible gun owner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna my guns, my rifles are not going to hurt anybody. They're in a safe, secure location. There's no way that anyone's going to be able to get in, get them out, and use those in any type of. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but 0.00000000001% chance.
Yeah.
So it's not going to happen. But to watch these people have these like tens of thousands of shares for these videos of them, and like the first guy that did it, I'm sitting there watching it, and all he did, he cut the upper. He just cut the upper off. So the for anyone that wants to know about how these AR-15 rifles work, there's one crucial piece that you need, and that's the lower receiver. Mm-hmm. Without that, you can have this big scary upper with this flash suppressor and the hand and the rail guard and this collapsible butt stock and this pistol grip. But all of that is useless unless you have this one piece. But without all those other pieces, this one piece is basically just a paperweight.
And that's the part that they're 3D printing. They have some company now.
Yes,
okay.
You can you can make polymer ones. You can get kits to make those too. That's where the ghost guns come from.
Wow.
So
that scares me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just it's not registered with the Department of Defense.
I see.
So
it's just created without an FFL number.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is a ghost gun. I mean, I'm surprised the ghost gun legislation lasted as long as it did.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's still there. I mean,
I know it's still. I know because we're making ours. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? before they mess it up. But that is one of the few things where I think, okay, when people say common sense gun control, they're not talking common sense.
No.
They're talking crazy sense, leftist statism stuff.
Right.
Okay. But the ghost gun legislation, I think, is one of the few things that is a little bit common sense, only because now with CNC machines, when the 1964 Firearms Act was created, they allowed people to manufacture their own guns. For those that don't know what a ghost gun is, you are allowed, according to the old Firearms Act, every single lower that gets manufactured, every quote gun, end quote, has to have a serial number on it so we can track guns, see if a drug dealer sells it to a criminal, sells it to a guy in jail, and then shoots somebody with it, okay?
Right. That's
reasonable. You need a serial number for it, yeah. Well, they made a small provision back then in the 60s, before computers and CNC machines existed, saying, if you're one of those arms enthusiasts that's in your own garage milling and making your own firearms for your own sportsman activities and whatnot, well, you're such a small minority, we're not worried about you.
Right.
It's just like not having to smog cars made before 1972. We just say there's so few of them out there, we don't worry about it. So they literally said, if you manufacture your own, we're not worried about you. Enter CNC machines where you can program in to a computer on a lathe and come out with a perfect AR-15 lower. Well, now all of a sudden you've introduced a different
right. And anybody that's that's built an AR-15 knows that that certain areas of it that need to get milled out, the trigger where you put in your the pegs. There's a lot of there's 5 different spots where you have to put in these little indents and stuff, and if they're not perfect.
Wow, Dave, I was in the military and I don't even know the 5 spots for milling. That's awesome.
But if you don't have these certain areas perfect, then you basically you've turned a paperweight that could be turned into a gun into an actual paperweight because you can't do anything with it.
But the CNC codes,
but with that,
are the ones that do it perfectly.
So that's with technology the way it is now. But the ghost gun thing that was really championed by Kevin De Leon, who also said that an AR-15 can shoot 30 rounds in 1 second. So
It's kind of like the guy that was worried when there was too many troops in Guam.
Yeah.
That the island would tip over.
Wait a minute.
Well,
he said 30 rounds in
yeah,
1
he's
second.
the African
1 second.
American
Has he ever
congressman
fired
from
any of these?
from Harlem in New
No, he
York,
has not.
the one that got busted for having properties down in the Dominican Republic. I can't remember his name, but I remember in the hearing, you got to look this up on YouTube. He literally said, if we send. He was asking in a hearing, he was concerned about the number of military personnel in Guam, and he literally said, well, if we have too many military personnel in Guam, won't it tip over? And he used the word capsize.
Capsize, yes.
And you should have seen the military official that was sitting there saying, no, sir, I'm not worried about the island capsizing. I don't think that's a logistical concern. I think he literally called it a logistical concern.
Yeah.
And it is the best piece of political theater you'll ever see in your life.
Well, that's right up there with a video that just recently circulated from CNN. It was I every time I saw somebody share it was from the Anderson Cooper account, and it was this gentleman who's a reporter and was somebody who said he's a general. I don't know if he said he was from the Army or which branch, but he said he was a general. So first off, they have the reporter shoot an AR-15, and first off he doesn't have the stock all the way up against his shoulder, so he has it kind of out a little bit, and he's just shaking all around as he's firing, like and it was just dangerous. It was like of
course,
and then the general gets up and he shoots off a couple rounds and he does a little bit better, but then he says, okay, so you just saw that each pull was one bullet. Now I'm going to go full semi-automatic. And I'm just like, full? Like, he's like, and that's when you just keep pulling the trigger. I was just like, you were just pulling the trigger multiple times. Like, you're not doing anything. You're making stuff up now. Like, you just went from a single shot to single shot and just called it a different name. I don't understand. And it was just as cringeworthy because you're just like, you're a general. But also, I have some friends that are in the military, and they're like, well, that's the exact reason why generals have such large security detail. They can't take care of themselves when it comes to combat. So I was like, okay.
I don't know about that.
That was a bit.
I wonder what Mad Dog Mattis would say about that.
Yeah. Well, I think he's a little bit different than. I also don't think Mad Dog Mattis would call a semi-automatic rifle a full semi-automatic rifle. That's
true. He'd probably just show up with his own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He'd say, I stole this from the guy as he lay on the floor.
So, but there's a lot of these low-informed people that are going out and speaking on gun control. And there was another student, I forget her name exactly, but her video has been circulating around.
Is the one that looks like Sinead O'Connor?
No, that was the Emma Gonzalez.
Is it Sinead or Sinead?
I don't know.
I've heard Sinead, but I won't split hairs.
You gotta say it with an Irish accent.
But
no, for sure.
But she said that she wants to make sure that somebody can't walk into a store with $130 and buy an AR-15.
Where?
I know. Oh, trust me, it frustrated me just as well. And where can you go? Okay, you know what? California guns are more expensive. If you're a gun person, one of the things that you're always told is if you go out of state, never go to a gun store and see how much guns are, because it's going to really make you upset with how much you're paying out in California for guns. But so if you're going to get an AR in California, you're going to be paying $600, $700, $800 at the least, and that's for a low quality. Like
that's for an inexpensive one.
Yeah, and if you're buying one that's a decent, you're paying like $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. $130, no matter where you are, you're not going to buy an AR-15 for that price. You can barely get a halfway decent maybe working shotgun for that.
I couldn't buy a BB rifle at Walmart for that much.
So
a good one.
I literally bought a pellet gun for shooting pigeons in my pest control company, and it was more than that.
Right. And so what I heard, what is kind of through the grapevine, was that she misspoke. And she was actually talking about the piece that I was talking about, the lower receiver, because those do cost about $130 even here in California, but that's not a rifle. That's one piece that even in California you have to go and now spend another about $800 to put this together to actually make it into a functioning rifle. So it's just, and there's other people that are going out and like the general and this reporter and people like this that are, and people that don't know about guns going, oh my gosh, is this really happening? And it's kind of creating a false sense of fear of that these things are as easily accessible as they are when they're not. That you can't just go out with pocket change and buy a gun and go commit a bunch of crimes. So
well, at the end of the day, the cost of the firearm isn't even the problem.
No.
It's
a people
not the
problem. It's not even a gun problem.
And on this issue, I'm just going to take a number and wait to be served because I've got bombshell thoughts on the whole gun control argument. So you guys can just keep doing your thing.
Well,
and then when we want the phones to explode, I'll just.
Well, the other thing is the use of these kids. What's your thought on that, Cardin? On all of a sudden these kids being front and center of this gun control initiative.
Okay, so this is, first off, to the kids, I love them. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine what they've been through. I can't imagine the trauma that they have not processed yet. And to me, this lays bare the vultures that the media have become.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay? Mm-hmm. They would rather tout out the day after a child should really, in my opinion, be speaking to a psychologist to make sure that they're A-okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They're using and abusing these kids to put them in the green room before they talk on CNN, and then MSNBC wants them and CNBC wants them. Now they're signing book deals and this and that. And the coaching that gets put into children to become political actors bothers me. I did not agree with a lot of the programs that Barack Obama put into place, but it bothered me so badly when I would see Malia and his children shoved into the political spotlight,
right.
Just like Barron would get shoved into the political spotlight. These are not actors in this game. Now, I think they do have a very big opinion that needs to be stated, and I don't think you can ever be too young to be politically active. I mean, no. I was out there under the direction of city council protesting the Ellesmere Canyon dump when I was in like 6th grade, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think they should be put out there, but you need to be really, really careful with this. If a child is a witness to a murder down in South Central, before he's checked out of the hospital, there is a state psychologist not allowing the police to question him.
Right.
Yeah.
Let alone stick him on television.
Right.
To start spouting what are honestly, and I don't want to say spouting because that could be considered disrespectful, but to literally start regurgitating ideas that are not native to their own psychology.
Right.
Okay, they are far too in-depth, far too rehearsed, far too leftist to not literally be regurgitations of dogma instead of saying, hey, protect us. When they want to say, hey, protect us, get over your third rail. Yeah, I think right now, comprehensive gun control needs to get done.
Yeah.
Because until you touch that third rail, this will continue to be a game where in Chicago they call it Chirac because you can just cross the border into Indiana, buy a gun there, and then come back into state lines, and you only risk one border crossing, and you've got a straight up, with one drill, fully automatic AR that you can go gangbanging with anybody you want through the streets. And as long as they're passing these laws in Illinois, it doesn't matter because you're a 30-minute drive from a gun store in another state. So until they go comprehensive on this, constitutionally, ain't nothing happening.
Yeah.
And these kids are getting abused. I just think they're getting abused.
And Chicago, look at Chicago, one of the biggest, with the strongest gun control, and like you said, that you can go across to Indiana, get a gun, come back. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the exact laws over there. I have to show
everything is outlawed.
Okay, in Chicago it is. But do you hear of any other city that every Monday you get a report saying, okay, here's how many people were shot and killed, and here's how many people were shot and injured in this city? You don't hear that in any other city except for Chicago, where all this gun control is happening. And so if it's working so well, why isn't it working there? And what needs to be reformed to make it work?
It's different. Here's what I think needs to get reformed. And this might really bother a lot of people, but I've put a lot of thought into this. The Constitution, the Founding Fathers, when they formed the Constitution, they said, okay, what do you got to do to make sure that a people are protected? Well, they need freedom of assembly. They need freedom of speech, because especially political speech has to be protected or else they'll never be able to rise up against an oppressive government. Right. That's why they also instituted freedom of religion and the press, okay? Right. Then they come out with the Second Amendment saying, okay, an oppressive government always has something in common with all other oppressive governments dating all the way back to the Roman times. Jefferson literally read every single political theory book with John Adams before they drafted the Constitution. And one thing they all had in common was they had disarmed their own people. So he said, okay, a well-regulated militia, needs to have the right to bear arms as being one of those rights that's preserved, right? So I think at this point, America needs to take a serious look into the mirror and say, okay, we're going to define what a well-regulated militia is.
Right.
And we're going to hold conservatives' feet to the fire saying, okay, if you want all these gun rights, you want us to take away some of these stupid laws we thought would work, like the 30-day waiting period. Honestly, I don't care. If Dave Goss goes and buys a handgun tomorrow, I really don't care, because it's going to be in that same fireproof safe with all of his others. So if we're going to get rid of these 30-day waiting periods, then... I think it may not be bad to start introducing a gun license where a lot of these DEA people that are retiring out and, maybe tamper down the drug war, amp up a licensing program that lets responsible people carry guns, and then regulate to true common sense standards what they can have. They have to be willing to not just touch, but seriously mold the third rail, or ain't nothing happening.
Exactly. And Tom.
Yes.
As a centrist and former military,
right?
What are your thoughts on all this as far as
here's
gun
my
control?
thought. Here's a counterpoint to the we were supposed to have a well-regulated military to prevent the overtaking of any type of tyrannical government, right? So the power would be with the people to fight that oppression.
Right.
Do you honestly think, in today's day and age, does anyone honestly think, this is the counterpoint now, this is the devil's advocate,
right.
So it's a little bit of a bump, that American citizens could, what we have now, defend ourselves against the greatest military the world has ever known?
Well, the thing is that most of the military is not going to stand with the government.
Yeah, that's the proof. That's the age-old argument, because don't forget the English had the
because of course
cannons.
we're not going to be able to.
Having been in the military, I'd have to tend to agree with you on that.
Yeah,
because
the English had the
nothing if not
cannons.
patriotic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we took Fort Knox, and that's how Benedict Arnold became Benedict Arnold, was because we took the cannons.
And a delicious breakfast.
That's true. His legacy lives on amongst traders and diners alike.
Eggs, yes.
But hey, we took those cannons, which at that time were the Warhawks and the Warthogs and the Browning 50 cals. Another Mormon. He invented that. I'm telling you, defending those folks in Nauvoo, he invented that.
Okay.
So I really think that age-old argument of could we really defend against the government is always true, because the military is based upon citizens.
Yeah. And
Great point.
Yes, and that's what I've always said. It's for the people, by the people, and a lot of the people in the military are the people that are going to be standing up with the rest of the.
But if you start when you're 18 and you get out when you're 20, you still can't buy the gun that you were shooting terrorists with.
Yes. So
that happened to me.
Well, we could go on about this for another hour, but we are out of time. Carden, thank you very much for coming on the show this week.
It was a blast.
We're going to definitely have to have you on again in the future. Tom, it's always great to be back with you, and we will see you guys next week. We're going to have special guest Ivan Pacell come and talk to us about making juggling tolerable. He's a local comedian that I actually grew up with.
He's in a mine.
And no, he's a great guy. And again, shout out to Revenge of the Sis, great guys. We've been helping them out. They've been helping us out. Love them, Royce and anyways, have a great evening, guys, and we will see you next week.
All right, thank you.
KHTS.